Welcome, everybody, to Around the ACL. Michelle Thompson here with Trey Ryder and Jake Brannon, coming straight off of Open number 2 over in Florida. And we have a lot to get into with that. We also have some fun cornhole excuses that came straight from you guys to get into. And I'm sure we could all add our own there as well. And then some buy or sell. So, Trey, are you all Disneyed out?
My wife certainly is. She'll be got plenty of time to spend in Disney this weekend while I was spent at the venue going back and forth. But we did get a little chance to bring none other than Jake Brannon and Corey Russell to their first ever trip to Disney World. So we took them to Epcot in the morning of Rounders because we're not streaming Rounders. So that went until the early afternoon. So we did the whole rope drop, got there right at park opening and spent the whole day at Epcot riding rides and eating food. And, sometimes that's really fun. And then it can get really tiring to go from that to then 5 hours of streaming. But it was a good time. No, I always like going down to Orlando area. So I'm more interested to see how Jake thought of it. I've been there 100 times. So for me, it was a lot of fun to be there down with the event. But yeah, Corey and Jake are more of my interest at that point.
So, Jake?
It was a lot of fun, right? I mean, I'll start off by saying that I don't really know what I was expecting going into it because I don't know like anything about Disney World. I've never done any research or anything like that. So I wasn't really sure what to expect. And the fact that we met at Trey and Shelby's hotel and then had to ride a boat over to the park, that was a pretty cool start. I wasn't expecting that. And then you go right in. And for those of you who don't know, Trey is so type A when it comes to Disney World. We had a strict schedule that we had to adhere to at every single moment. So we walk in, we go turn right into France, and we go get on the ride. Then we got to go all the way around, get on a second ride. We got to go to this specific area to get on that ride. And then when we were done with all the rides, then we took a lap around to get some food. The food was incredible. It was during the Food and Wine Festival, so there were dozens upon dozens of booths that had some incredible food. I think Trey and I both stopped at Hawaii and got a spam and rice bowl that was out of this world, incredible. And then, oh man, I think Corey went to India and got some tikka masala, and Shelby went to Mexico to get something to eat. And then we went to I went to Japan. It was crazy. But overall, it was an awesome experience, right? We walk in at 9, and I think to myself, man, there's not a ton of people here. It's just kind of weird. And then we get off of one ride and start walking around like that. There are thousands upon thousands of people in that place walking around. So it did get very busy at the end, but overall, I had an awesome time. And I wish I could spend more than just a couple of hours there so I can experience the rest of it. But the parts that I did get to see were incredible. Highly recommended. Guardians of the Galaxy, best ride I've ever been on in my life.
That was Rome's favorite, I think.
Yeah, it was funny when we took Rome, Jake. This is a good little sidebar. When we got off that, he goes, "That was amazing," and then every single ride we went to after that, he's like, "Is this better than Guardians of the Galaxy?" And I had to tell him every time, "I'm sorry, but it's not." So
yeah, Trey started off in the wrong order.
Yeah, we did it the right way, where we did Guardians last, which I'm very thankful for, because all the rides leading up to it, I was like, this is a cool little ride. This is fun. I like this. If I would have done Guardians first, I would have been pissed the rest of the day. I'll tell you that. It was so much fun.
Well, Trey took us on the Seven Dwarf ride, like at the beginning, and I told Trey, yeah, that's my max. And he's like, okay. Like that I did not like. I don't want anything that comes remotely close to that one. So that was the bar for me. And that's why when they went on Guardians, I went to the French fry. It was also the Food and Wine Festival. I went to the French fry kiosk and had 3 kinds of French fries. And I was perfectly happy doing that. So worked out for me. All right, let's get into some cornhole excuses. I'll read the first one and then I'll pass it over to you, Trey. But David King says, it comes and goes. What are you going to do?
Well, it comes and goes. At least you have some highs there, right? I actually kind of like this one. I might steal this one, because you're just blunt, like, hey, it's not here right now. It'll be there later, but it's comes and goes. So I actually kind of like that one.
All right, you got the next one.
All right, I was too tired with 2 spelled wrong, by the way.
You got to point that out. Got to put Harold.
I was too tired. Okay, now I might be okay with it. Are we talking about game 7 after a game 7 in the double elimination bracket
Yeah.
after 6 rounds of rounders, or are we talking game
one.
3? Yeah, of because this could be applicable sometimes, and sometimes I buy it, and sometimes I wouldn't. So
True.
I think context matters here.
Agreed. Go ahead, Jake.
Let's see. Christian says I had to pee the whole game.
I've been there.
I think I've been there also.
I actually think this one's valid though. Like, I mean, you can't use it every game, right? This is not a anytime works type of excuse. You're good for like one of these a weekend maybe,
Yeah.
and if that's a good excuse, then you're all right.
On the other side of that, I've had it like where your food arrives and then you get called to a game and all you're thinking about is your food. You're just like, oh man, those tots are just sitting there. They're getting cold. I really want it. You're like, get this game over with. I want to go eat.
Facts.
All right. Zach said, my bags just were not falling. They just, it's the bags fall.
That's not a thing. That's not a real thing. It's a skill issue.
It's a skill issue. Just called out.
Yeah, it's not gonna look.
Well,
unless your name was Jake Gore, you don't even who's had a name of bags.
Yeah, you can
not
get
falling
Gore
named after him, right? Then no, you don't get that.
The next two, Trey, they're pretty much the same.
It's because I suck. My bad. I sucked. I don't think it's an excuse, really. To me, it's just like I was just bad. Now this is a go-to for me. This is right in my wheelhouse, and I'm usually upfront about it when someone wants to play with me. I'm just telling you. When we get done with this game, I'm going to say, sorry, I sucked. And they're like, no, let's play. And then it happens. And they're like, okay. And so, I mean, you signed up for it. So I don't know what to tell you.
Look, I'd rather you tell yourself that you suck than blame it on your partner because it's never your fault, right? It's always somebody else's. So the fact that you're actually owning up to it, I like that. I like that a lot. All right. I got Belle who says, I usually just say not my best game and own it. No excuses. Although this weekend I did also share I was having some equilibrium issues that weren't helping me out. Also true though.
That's a problem.
Can't say I've ever had equilibrium issues when playing cornhole though. I will be honest with that.
I think that's good that you don't have them.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's again, it's like one of those things you can only cash in on that excuse so many times, right? So you got a limited use, which is okay.
Yes. If that's happening every time, we're like, I don't believe you. LeVar kind of had I skipped ahead. Scott said, my excuses, I just flat out stink. So similar to the, just owning your bad game. But LeVar's is similar to Belle's, right? Like just
I don't make excuses anymore. So
just don't do it.
That's good.
I'm an excuse guy. Let me have a little bit of an excuse here. Like, I mean, just a little one, right?
I'm not. And I was, as you people know, I was a personal trainer for many years. And my rule with my clients is I'm not allowed to give me an excuse. So they have to walk in and say, I didn't do my cardio. They can't say because, oh man, hated it. Don't give me I don't want to hear why.
That scares
say
me.
You didn't do it.
That's scary.
I'm usually like, are there? Sorry, I didn't throw out. The dogs barking in the background got me, and they're like, "What dogs?" I was like, "Don't worry about it." And then I just gotta walk away, and then they're like,
"It happened."
Is there a dog behind it? And now they're confused. They're no longer blaming me. They're just confused about what actually happened.
That's not a pattern interrupt.
My go-to is always blaming the wind when we're inside playing the tournament. That's my go-to when it's inside.
That's a good one.
Also,
all right, Steve says, I'm going to go on a limb and say this is Steve Schrader who said this. And he says, I'm old, # give me a break. When in reality, Steve, I don't know how he's in his mid-60s. He's probably one of the most in shape and active mid-60-year-olds I've ever seen in my life. So that's a terrible excuse for him.
Yeah, I'm not buying it. Cornhole Cobbler, my eyes jiggled and I missed. Okay. Staring at a board in a long game, my vision plays tricks on me when my eyes jiggle. Apparently, because I don't drink enough water, it throws off my entire shot. Well, this is an interesting one.
First of all, doctor.
I don't think we're qualified to talk about this.
Yeah, but I was going to say that apparently Jake's new sign off is drink water. So go ahead and listen to what he says.
I tried it out. I'm trying something new out. maybe I'll do something different next event. I don't know yet. drink water.
Yeah, it's not bad advice.
Just needed 12 more ounces of aiming juice and I'd have been better. See, this
could
is the
also be
worst
true.
type of excuse. This is the worst type of excuse because you could have just done it and you didn't. Right?
What was the reason why?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You had an opportunity to change it and you didn't. Disappointing.
Disappointing. Well, sometimes in the middle of the game and you run out of aiming juice, and then what do? You got to try to find someone. That's not always possible. Not always possible. So yeah, there's your excuses, guys. Good job on that. Like I said, I'm a no excuse kind of girl. I'll own it. I sucked. I couldn't find it. Don't know where the center of the board was. That's kind of my go-to. I'll try to do better.
I'm a little excuse kind of guy. I got to have at least a little bit.
I guess I am too. I'm trying to think about what I use for excuses, but I guess I don't. I usually just say that I suck. My bad, I suck.
So you never blame like the board or the bag, like the boards are playing too fast, boards are playing too slow, bags are too slow.
No, because I feel like I'm confident in my skill enough to where if there's a problem, if there's a change with the boards or with the bags, I'm confident enough in my game to be able to make changes to my throw and be able to overcome that, adapt. Yeah. So, no excuses over here.
All right. Well, good on the excuses, but let's not have the excuses and see what happens. As a soon-to-be doctor, weeks away, I will tell you my expert advice is don't make excuses. Just own it. And that's the only way you can get better. Because if you blame the bags, the boards, then you're screwed, right? How do you make that better or change? You can't.
Wise words from Dr. Meesh.
Almost. Can't legally call me that yet.
I can legally do whatever I want. How's that? No, I'm just kidding. I can't do that. That's a lie.
I really want you to change all of your social media handles to Dr. Meesh when it comes through these next couple of weeks.
It took 8 years to get my doctorate and then 2 years before that to get my master's. So 10 years of schooling post undergraduate. So you bet I will be changing everything. Took a long time. All right, open number 2. We are going to kick it off talking about doubles. Now, this is a team that I picked on open number 1, not open number 2. So I was just an open off. But congratulations to Spencer Fabionar and Tony Forbes, the California boys. Super, super impressive. Trey, you mentioned Spencer many times on the live stream about being one of the more impressive players in the room. He was able to get it done in doubles, and he made it pretty far in singles as well. We're not going to talk about Tony in singles, but Spencer definitely had a great weekend. But so did many other teams, except for Mark Richards and Tony Smith. What did we say? We said it's a lock. It was, in fact, not a lock.
Not a lock.
Not a lock.
You guys said it was a lock? That's crazy.
It was
a bracket win was a lock. We thought a bracket win was a lock, but not a lock at all. So,
yeah. All right, Trey, take us through your thoughts here on doubles.
Yeah, start with the winners. I think Forbes and Fabionar are the perfect example and the epitome of being able to be a team that can play loose and have a lot of success still. I think to this, this shows that, throughout the entire tournament, they were joking, laughing it up, making fun of each other for trying bad shots, making good shots. Like, I think this is a team that dynamically is about as good chemistry as you're going to get. And I think that's going to continue to build for them. We talked about them being, should be a top 5 team, guaranteed top 10 team. And they continue to live up to that. So I think this was a really, really interesting and fun pairing to watch. And, for different reasons, I think this will pull people out of their element when they play against them, right? I think it's important that as they even get into these high intensity games, even if they make it onto a broadcast and they're playing in a very high stakes game, they need to continue to play loose. One, because I think it benefits them, but I also think it can pull other people kind of out of their zone. I made a comment, even Jake and I, as we were calling a game, it was an important game and Tony's just, Tony Forbes just talking away at his opponent. His other opponent's trying to lock in, right? I believe this is when they were playing Jacob Harrison and Jeremiah Stewart. Tony Forbes just having a conversation with Jeremiah Stewart, right? Someone that likes to just lock in, stay focused, and do what they can to succeed. And Forbes is just taking them out of the element. And I think that's a key for them as they continue to go throughout the year to continue to focus on that. So really talented team. Excited to see what they have for the rest of the season. Now, some other teams that stood out to me, obviously, when we talk about Gabriel Clausen and Emax, it was weird to me that I left that weekend almost being the most impressed with Gabriel Clausen, and Clausen didn't win anything. Except, well, he did win junior singles. I shouldn't say that. But he didn't win singles or doubles, right? When even among those fields, among those participants, I didn't consider him the best, right? I mean, I considered him probably the best player, and he didn't win it. So I just think that's interesting. I expect Clausen to be a top 10 player this year. I know he followed up and won an event last season, and maybe people thought that was his peak, but I think this is a young kid that should own the juniors division in a way. He's already won 2 straight. And then on top of that, he really should go and excel. Him and Emax in particular, really good team dynamic. Emax was a little bit off towards the second half of the tournament. I think he'll figure that out, but certainly they were fun to watch. Some other teams that just jump out to me that worth bringing up. Dave Morse and Ethan Walker, first time in an open setting or a signature setting or any type of setting like that. We've got to see them play together. And for me, they passed the eye test. We know what we're going to get from Ethan Walker. I was wondering if we would see the elevation of Dave Morse's game. And to tell you what, I did see it. Dave Morse plays at a high level. I think they have good team chemistry. A lot of defensive bags being thrown, but they have an ability to get around them. I did see, there was one instance towards the end. Dave Morse gives up a big spot, gives up a big 7. The key for them is I don't even think Dave Morse needs to do a ton of scoring. I think Ethan is going to do a lot of that this season. The key is just going to be the difference between them being a top 5 team and being a top 20 team is going to be Dave Morse limiting the 7s, right? If they can do that, their upside is limitless, right? And the downside will be determined by those big rounds. Jeremiah Stewart and Jacob Harrison, I would say the Cinderella team of the weekend. Now, I'm used to seeing these players. I've watched Jacob Harrison throw a ton. I've watched Jeremiah Stewart throw a ton. At their best, they were throwing really, really well. And I've seen that before in Rock Hill. The issue was they could never put it together for an entire tournament. Maybe we'd see a Jeremiah Stewart or a Jacob Harrison 1 or 2 games where they throw really, really well, but never throughout an entire tournament. This was the first time that I really looked at them among a field of open competitors and said to myself, they have some staying power. So for them, I'm just looking for the consistency, seeing if they can repeat that same process. I think that's going to be important if they're going to keep that long-term success. But even Harrison, we'll talk about in singles as well, really strong on the weekend. Everybody will panic a little bit what we saw from Tony Smith and Mark Richards. My response is, I'm not panicking at all. I mean, look, I know a lot of people were, watching Tony Smith a lot of it with his double clutch and saying, what is going on? Talk to me the first weekend in January. Let's see how they finish, and then I can determine my worry for Mark Richards and Tony Smith.
Well, okay. Can we talk about that for a second, though? Because Jake and I were talking about this before when we went live. I don't know if Tony Smith throws bags in between events.
He doesn't.
I can't imagine he does. And so Jake was saying that he thinks Mark will say, hey, Tony, you need to throw some bags. And I said, I don't think that's even going to happen. I mean, I just don't see Tony Smith putting in more practice. So you just think he just elevates?
I mean, okay, but then I'll use your own logic against you, right?
Okay.
And that, let's say that's the case. If you're saying he hasn't thrown much at all since, Worlds, well, the beginning part of the season, there's no ACL events in the month of September. We're just getting into October. They didn't go to the first event. So maybe this is the first event, right? And then, but from here, there's plenty of other things to play. There are regional events, state events, things of that nature, even other opens that are going to happen between now and the signature season start. So even if he is not putting in the time previously because he took the last 2 months off, there's still plenty of runway. Tony Smith is not going to forget how to play. He's not going to forget how to play when the lights shine brightest, right?
No,
now, does he probably need to get warm again? Then maybe.
But you don't think he can get outworked? Like if people are putting in time and we have shot makers, don't you think it's a matter of time before he just gets outworked?
Well, I mean, I think he probably got outworked last year and he won a world championship. There are dozens of people who throw more than he does, throw countless hours of practice in between events, and Tony still comes out and throws well and wins another doubles world title with Mark Richards. So I see that, but I will also say because we talked about Tony Smith. I think he went either 1-2 or 2-2 in singles on Sunday. And I was looking over, we're deeper into the broadcast, closer to the bracket finals, and I see Tony Smith out on a board by himself in the sea of boards, just throwing bags by himself back and forth in singles. So maybe he's using that time to get some practice and get some reps in, because maybe he won't touch another bag before the next event. I'm not sure if he's going to go to Richmond in a couple of weekends, but I don't know. I couldn't tell you the last time I saw Tony Smith throwing on a board by himself after he's already been eliminated. So maybe that's something that he's starting to work on. So you never know.
Yeah, that's a good point. All right, Jake, take us through your thoughts on doubles.
Yeah, doubles was a lot of fun. And I'll start with Spencer Tony, and like Trey mentioned, it was kind of hard transitioning into doubles because that was the day that we had went to Epcot for a little bit. So once I actually sat down and relaxed for a little bit and looked through these brackets, I was thinking, I saw that Spencer and Tony finished as the number 2 overall seed and rounder. So that would put them as the 1 seed in that B bracket. And looking through their path, I didn't think they were going to have a problem with really any of these games. And actually, one of their hardest games was their first game of the bracket against Justin Everett and Zane Krotz, where they won 22-19. Then they beat Michaela Calvi, South Sandoval. They scored 17 points, but then they beat Kobe Costanza and Tommy Sliker 21-8. And then they made it to the King Seed game against what some people are calling one of a top 3 team in the country in Logan Chamberlain and Gavin Cano. And this game is exactly what Trey had talked about. They're using that energy. They're using that ability to make cornhole fun again. It's almost like for them, they're laughing, they're smiling. They're up at one point 16-4, and this was probably one of the highlights of the weekend for me. They're up 16-4. There's a mess on the board, and Logan Chamberlain calls a timeout. So what do Spencer and Tony do? They come over to our booth. I jokingly take off my headset to hand it to Spencer as a joke, and he takes it, puts it on his head, and just starts talking to the chat and is looking at the chat, reading the comments. Trey asks him what Logan's going to do on this shot, and Spencer gives him his piece of advice, and then he turns around and realizes that Logan's done with the timeout, so he takes his headset off and he rocks back in a winner's bracket final game at an open, no less. It's crazy. It just goes to show how loose they're playing, and it's almost mind-blowing, right? Because what Spencer and Tony are doing is something that we don't normally see anymore, right? When you think of star power doubles teams, we think of Tony Smith and Mark Richards. We think of Logan Chamberlain and Gavin Cano, Jacob Trzynski and Jamie Graham. What do they all have in common? They are quiet. They are collected. You will barely ever see them talk or say words during a game. But then out of nowhere, you see this Spencer and Tony team. They're young, they're flashy, they're fun, and they are bringing the fun back into cornhole, at least for them. And that's what makes them so successful. The quieter they are, I think the more they start overthinking things and can struggle. The louder they are, the more they talk, the more fun it gets, right? So just a great all-around event for them. I loved watching them. They beat Jeremiah Stewart and Jacob Harrison 23-20 to win their bracket. And what Trey talked about it was an incredible game. And then they ended up winning the whole thing overall against Ethan Farias and Gabe Clausen. But looking through some other teams that really intrigued me, who I thought had a great run. How about the team of Kyle Malone and Justin Rule, right? They kind of took me by surprise. They lost early and had a deep run in the losers bracket. Listen to some of these teams that they beat. They beat Tanner Halbert and Ty Thompson. They beat Adam Hissner and Trey Birchfield. Then they beat Jacob Gore and Rilee Schoff. Then they beat Landon Crabtree and Caitlin Allshouse. Then they smoked Gage Landis and Colin Hodette before finally losing to David Morse and Ethan Walker in the 4th place game. But hey, 4th place in a bracket, fantastic run for Kyle Malone and Justin Rule. I don't know if they are actual doubles partners or not. So if they aren't, correct me if I'm wrong, but if they are, I wouldn't be surprised to see them make a couple more end of brackets like they did, right? Some other teams that I'm looking out for: Gage Landis, Colin Hodette. We kind of put them on a higher pedestal coming into this weekend as well. They finished as the number 1 overall team in rounders. They made a deep run, but then all of a sudden it's like something clicked in Colin Hodette where he just fell off the face of the earth. In that game, they got eliminated in against Kyle Malone and Justin Rule. Colin Hodette threw a 7.2 PPR and it had a negative 4.4 DPR. He was on average giving up more than 4 points in a round. I don't know what happened, whether it was fatigue, whether it was his ability not to not focus. I don't know what happened exactly, but Colin Hurdet's got to fix that because he played well in singles the next day, but maybe just a lapse of focus was what made his demise. So I expect them to do very good things this upcoming season, but if something like that happens again, I don't know. But I do expect better things from Colin Hurdet and Gage Landis. But other than that, I love Dave Morse and Ethan Walker. I think they're going to be great. I love Ethan Farias and Gabe Clausen. I think they're going to be great. I think this doubles roster, this list of fielded doubles teams is going to be a lot more competitive than some people had thought. A lot of people, including myself, really thought it was going to be Tony Smith and Mark Richards, Logan Chamberlain, Gavin Cano, Jamie Graham, Jacob Truszynski, and then kind of the rest of the field. But these first two events are showing that there are a lot of teams that are capable of competing with the top dogs.
Yeah, and Mark Richards was just as impressive as we thought he would be, even in his first debut this season. He's able to take down singles, grab himself another title. That title wall he has must be getting real full. But Trey, thoughts on singles?
Yeah, I only have one thought on Mark Richards, and then I'm going to talk about other people. And I know that sounds weird to say because he won, but this is the epitome of Mark Richards. Mark Richards was down. Mark Richards was tied 7-7, okay, in the semifinals against Gage Landis, okay? And in that instance, he gave up one of the most incredible shots I have ever called in person by Gage Landis. A bar of soap that also collected 2 other bags for 7 points. I almost fell out of my chair. I think I punched Jake in the side of the arm. Like, one of the most incredible things I've ever seen. The entire building was going bananas. The chat was going bananas. Gage Landis goes up 14-7. Do you want to know what happens next if you weren't paying attention? Mark Richards scored 14 straight points to send Gage Landis packing. See you later. Okay? The guy has the unbelievable ability to not give a rip about what you just did to him, and he's just going to turn around and win the game. That's all he cares about. You can throw your bar of soap. He's going to be fine. He doesn't care, right? And I think that's what makes him so special. I'm on to somebody else. If you want, Jake wants to talk more about Mark Richards, fine. But other people that I was really impressed to see, I was impressed to see Gage Landis in one of the biggest games of his career. He hits a bar of soap, right? Played really, really well. And if he's not playing against Mark Richards, he might be winning the entire thing. I think that was really impressive to see from him. Ethan Walker, a little bit concerned about this wrist. Okay, I know he made it all the way to the final, but in that bracket final, he's holding his wrist. He's flexing his wrist. Super impressive. I thought for sure once he started grabbing that wrist and he looked okay against Landon Crabtree in the bracket final, who I think actually looked really, really good. I was like, he's going to get, just absolutely destroyed by Logan Chamberlain, because Logan Chamberlain was coming in throwing really, really well. And then they keep playing and playing and playing. That's the game that's not on our court, right? And we're kind of watching, keeping an eye on it. And Ethan Walker just wins it, right? And so I'm saying to myself, man, Ethan must be, playing at a really, really high level. And I think that was the case. I'm just a little bit concerned about this grabbing of the wrist. I don't know if something is wrong or what he needs there, right? So that's Ethan Walker. Matt Guy, okay? Matt Guy wins 3 straight games, 21-20 or 21-19, one of the two. I thought that was super impressive, right? I keep going back and forth of does Matt Guy need to change anything? And I keep going back to I think he does, but look, I mean, he's beating the best in the world right now. I mean, he's playing. Didn't he beat Gabe Clausen in singles this week? It's I just don't know what to think of Matt Guy, because when I see how he performs statistically, it doesn't make sense that he hasn't put it all together and won one of these events recently. It's not making sense to me. And I think that's what's really confusing about the Matt Guy conundrum. And I just don't know. I don't even know how to attack it. I don't know how to look at it. It's just puzzling to me. So yeah, Gabe Clausen, like I said, I thought one of the best players on the weekend. He's probably the other, player that I was really keeping an eye on. And Jacob Harrison as well, someone that shined for me, kind of a breakout type of player. And if he continues that, then hey, he could be in contention for that Rookie of the Year crown.
Sorry, singles, Jake.
I was like, oh, well, Meesh is muted, but the camera goes to me. I guess I'm talking about singles. No, Trey didn't talk about him a lot, so I will talk about Mark Richards for 1 second. Stop me if you've heard this one before. Mark Richards dominates at an Open and wins. That is his 30th career title. I believe, I don't have it pulled up right now, I believe that's his 11th Open singles title in his career, which is mind-blowing, right? If you think about it. He performs so well. We talk about how Tony may not perform as well as the Open at the Open level because it doesn't mean as much as the signature level. The complete opposite for Mark Richards. He performs so incredibly well at these Opens, at these, I don't even want to call them smaller events because there were still 400 teams here, 400 people here. But man, it's crazy to see how well he's doing. He's back, and I think he's well on his way to another big season for him. Looking through the brackets, right? Looking at all these other players, we'll start in the A bracket. Logan Chamberlain looks fantastic, right? Made his way through his bracket. I don't think he gave up more than 6 points. He gave up 6 points in his very first game, and then did not give up more than that until the winners final, where he gave up 8 to Gabriel Clausen and then gave up 17 to Matt Guy in the overall finals. We'll talk about Matt Guy in a little bit in buy or sell. He looked phenomenal last weekend. Does he need to change something? Maybe, but he seems okay right now. Gabe Clausen, right? We talked the entire stream in both doubles and the majority of singles about how Gabe Clausen was probably the most impressive player in the building all weekend long. And I still think he was one of the more impressive players in the building. And he didn't even win his bracket, which is mind-blowing. It's crazy, right? He comes up just short to Matt Guy, only throwing a 9.54, but it was a very dirty game. It's a very entertaining game. We did get to call that one. It was a lot of fun. So good things ahead for Gabe Clausen. Over in the B bracket, we got to show some love, man. We talked the whole time, the past couple of weeks, about how Cash Shamness and Zack Aiken broke the record for longest game in ACL history in 53 rounds. They took that record from Devin Harbaugh, which was a few years ago. Devin Harbaugh said, oh, you're going to take my record? Hold on a second. Him and Sammy Soto go out and throw a 54-round game in a fourth-place game in the bracket. Both players throwing a very high 10. 54 rounds. There were 19 rounds of scoring. That means there were, let me do some math here, just about 30 rounds of washes, give or take. It's crazy. Trey and I were talking about that game more than the game we currently had on our court, because I believe at one point there were, 9 straight washes, and then 12 out of 13 rounds were washes as well at one point. Crazy game. Devin Harbaugh is keeping that record. People keep talking about how these games are going to get longer. I don't know if that record may not stand for another event, but it also could stand for years and years and years. So big shout out to Sammy Soto for pulling that one through, and then ultimately falling to Gage Landis. Gage Landis, man, kid looks good. I see him all the time in my local area playing in events, and I'm going to get really mad that he's really well. He's really good because I can't beat him anymore. I used to kind of sort of sometimes beat him, but now I can't beat him anymore, and that sucks. So shout out Gage Landis. Spencer Fabionar looked great in singles as well. I think people are kind of overlooking him more as a doubles player with Tony Forbes. I think Spencer Fabionar is going to have a spectacular single season, only losing to Ethan Walker. And then who else? How about Jacob Harrison, man? What a run. He actually beat Mark Richards in the King Seat game, and then Mark had to come in and double dip him. I don't know if we're going to be able to – I don't know if he's going to be able to keep that up as the season progresses, but, hey, something to hold your head high on. A fantastic run for Jacob Harrison.
All right, we also had our Women's, Seniors, and Juniors Day. This was the first time we saw Matt Guy compete in a seniors event. He did take down senior singles, but senior doubles went to Steve Schrader and Donald Cupp, who up until Matt Guy entered the field were always typically the favorites for people. Women's singles, Sarah Cassidy, super impressive performance from her. Women's doubles, Rilee Schoff and Caitlin Alshouse. And junior singles, you guys talked about him. Gabriel Clausen twice in a row taking down singles, kind of Tony Forbes-esque before, right? Tony Forbes has taken down juniors events last season. And then juniors doubles went to Jackson, Gore, and Zack Aiken, who were my pick for doubles. So, I said doubles. I didn't say junior doubles or regular doubles. I just said doubles. So there you go. Hot take stands. Trey, thoughts on women's seniors, juniors?
Yeah. Real quick, when you made known about Spencer Fabionar, I was updating my title sheet right as we go. I had to add Spencer Fabionar, first career title. I feel like I would have brought that up if I had known that. Like I just assumed he won something. But anyway.
Wait, he did, but he won something because I remember
he won the college national title last year.
Oh, that's what it was.
He won the college national championship. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Doesn't count as a title, but yes. Okay. Yeah. On to women's junior seniors. Look, Sarah Cassidy, that 5-game stretch that she had was one of the most dominating stretches I think I've seen. I mean, averaged above an 11, didn't give up double-digit points combined. I mean, she was absolutely unbeatable for a section of that tournament. Now, here's what I'm saying, and here's the challenge to Sarah Cassidy. Sarah Cassidy has always been viewed as one of the top women in the world. The way that she's playing right now, the way that she's added this little skip shot, very similar. I call it the Derek Holland skip, if you will. It's not a real rollback, but it does give her another shot to use against a defensive layout. I think she's got to elevate and start getting in the conversation in the same way that we used to talk about Cheyenne, that we're maybe starting to talk about Caitlin Allshouse, that we have been talking about Sam Finley over the more recent time frame. You can maybe throw Miranda Coy in there as well, in that a woman that is going to come into an open field, be feared, and start making bracket finals, start making queen seat matches, right? Because I think that's the next step that she needs to take in her career right now, because she's throwing so incredibly well. I think it's almost underselling her to talk about how well she's throwing just in women's singles, but she has to translate it, right? She needs to take that 11.0 average that she's doing across 5 games in women's singles, and she's got to do that in an open field. And I don't know if that's a mental adjustment. I don't know if that's a strategy adjustment. I don't know what that is for her, but she's got to take it to the next level. Rilee Schoff and Caitlin Allshouse also getting the win. I'm going to kind of mostly stick in on the women's side right here. Becoming a really, really fun team to watch. Caitlin Allshouse slowly becoming a lot of fun for me to watch. And in particular, 2 things. One, she told us she will be taking up bread making. So she's put that out there. So we expect
great news.
Sourdough. This is big news. And 2, okay, Meesh, I don't know if I brought this up on the stream, so you may already know this, but do you know what Caitlin Allshouse drinks during competition?
No.
She is carrying around a gallon of a liquid. Do you want to guess what that gallon? A gallon. I'm saying she's walking around just holding it. A gallon of liquid. Do you want to guess what it is?
Just tell me. I think I'm going to be appalled.
Apple juice.
What? I thought you were going to say like Mountain Dew, and I was going to be like, oh, goodness me.
Just apple juice. And sure enough, I'm like, what is happening? I remember they started on the game. I looked at Tony, and she's drinking apple juice. He's like, what? Looks over. She's got a gallon of apple juice next to her foot. He's
wait,
like,
not in like a water bottle.
She has a Mott's apple juice gallon next to her foot.
Sponsorship incoming. Mott's, where you at?
And then it blew my mind as well. All of a sudden, I see Landon Crabtree reach behind the apron. He pulls out a gallon of apple juice. I'm like, what is that? Is everybody drinking apple juice now? Like, what is?
Maybe we do have a sponsor we don't know about.
So I'll pause there. Yeah, but loving watching Caitlin Allshouse. She continues to cook.
Also, shout out. When's the last time you guys had a nice glass of apple juice? Because the apple juice still slaps. I don't care who you are.
That is the drink order for my husband and my son every time we fly.
Oh,
I don't know what it is about flights and apple juice.
Delicious. All right, I'll talk real quick. I won't talk as much about the ladies because Trey got that covered. But man, Sarah Cassidy finished with the number 1 PPR in the entire state of Florida last year, continues to do good things. I believe she is going to excel and finish the season as the number 1 woman in professional cornhole. I don't think it's going to be relatively close if she continues up what she is doing right now. Just incredible. And on the women's doubles side, I think the same thing goes for Rilee Schoff and Caitlin Allshouse, right? I think they are one of the, if not the best women's doubles team in the world right now, coming off of a world championship. There is nothing telling me that they won't continue to do that all season long. On the senior side, and I talked about this, it's hard not to convince me that Matt Guy didn't have the most pressure in the entire building all weekend long in his senior singles bracket, right? He comes in as well known as, a lot of people consider him the greatest of all time in professional cornhole, right? Then he puts into his very first ever senior singles bracket. He's supposed to win the entire thing, and it's not supposed to be close because that's what he does. And then he loses early to Jerry Armstrong, who, by the way, you guys, Trey got to call a lot of Jerry Armstrong matches in Rock Hill. This was my first weekend getting to see Jerry Armstrong. That dude is good at cornhole. I'm telling you what, Ryan Wiedenfeld Sr. is very, very good at cornhole. So shout out Jerry Armstrong. But Matt Guy, man, he drops down to the losers bracket. I'm like, no way this dude loses senior singles. And then what does he do? He runs the table, wins every other game, including double dipping Jerry Armstrong. Both games were 21-5. And I believe Trey and I talked about it. I think in between the first and second game, he went on a 30-5 run to win senior singles. So very impressive with him. On the senior doubles side, I feel like it's another dominating performance. I feel like as long as Steve Schrader and Donald Cupp play senior doubles together, I don't think anybody will beat them the entire season. These are two of, if not the 2 best seniors in the division, not including Matt Guy because he's not going to play seniors the entire season. I don't see a team who's going to beat them, right? And looking through it, they played Fresh Scott and Ricky Jernigan in the finals. They only scored 9 points. They played Michael Henry and Harold Norris in the winners final. They did score 18 points, but just something about it feels like they're not going to lose much at all this season. So shout out to them. And then quickly on the junior side before we get going, Gabe Clausen doing Gabe Clausen things. That's why we considered him to have the most dominating performance all weekend long, right? Wins junior singles again for the second straight event. And then in the junior doubles side, I mean, it's Jackson Gore and Zack Aiken. I think they're going to be one of the better junior doubles teams all season. I think it's going to be between them and Gabe and Emax all season long on the junior doubles side. So we'll see what happens.
Buy or sell time. We're going to go through these fairly quickly, Trey. The first one, Tony Smith needs high stakes to perform well.
I'll sell it because I want to rephrase it. He needs a reason to care. And that could be as little as he doesn't like the temperature outside. He just needs a little bit of motivation. We've seen him play well at opens before. He just needs a reason to care.
Jake?
I say buy. He may say he cares, but deep down, I don't think there's no way he cares as much about this than he does compared to a signature or the world championship, which is perfectly fine, right? Use these opens as tune-ups to figure out what works and what doesn't. So when the first signature does come around, everything is clicking. I'm buying it.
Matt Guy needs an additional shot or strategy change to win a title again, Trey.
I have no idea. What I saw this weekend makes me want to change my mind. I normally would have said buy. Maybe I'll stick with buy. I'm not passionate about that though. He was so good on airmails. If you're going to throw him at that clip, you can win. But I would just like to see another shot.
Jake?
Yeah, I said buy as well. This past weekend, we saw the best version of him in a very, very long time, and it still wasn't enough to get him over the edge. Although he did come very close, I will give him that. He did not get that signature win, right? The game has been evolving over the past decade, however, but Matt's game has continued to stay stagnant. If he wants to take his game to the next level and compete with all of these younger players, he's got to add something else to his arsenal.
We're worried about Gavin Cano finishing in singles, Trey.
No, we've been saying this for years. I'm okay. I'm okay right now. Like he's gotten wins before. He's been there at the end. Like there's something that him and Logan got to figure out here over the short term, right? And as they get into this partnership, but in the long term, I'm not. No.
Jake?
Yeah, I sold that as well. I mean, as I said, here we go again. No, I'm not worried at all. Right? They already have a signature win at that Paradise Grill tournament in September. I'm not worried about them on the double side. I'm not worried about him on the single side either.
Jacob Harrison will continue to be a threat at opens.
Yeah, this one's tough. And threat is such a vague. Do I think he's going to win in open? I do not. So because of that, I'll sell it. Give him some motivation to build off of. I think where he finished this weekend is a good goal for him to try to push up against that. Maybe win a bracket at some point this year. I think that's his ceiling right now. Maybe a smaller attended open has a chance, but against some of the best in the world, I didn't love the consistency of shots that I saw this weekend in order to elevate to that next level.
Jake?
Yeah, unfortunately, I had to sell this as well, right? Everybody can have a fantastic event, but it happens every single year, especially at the start of the season. Somebody's going to come out from out of nowhere and either perform really well, maybe even win a bracket. But it's the ability to keep the consistency up that's always the problem. Do I think he has the ability to keep the consistency up? I don't know, and it's not a shot against him. It's a saying that the rest of the talent is so incredibly stacked. It's so hard to compete and stay up at that top. So I have to sell it.
Gage Landis was the most impressive player from Open number 2.
No, he wasn't the most impressive player. Now, maybe surprising for some people, but not most impressive. I would put, honestly, Mark Richards, Spencer Fabionar, and Gabe Clausen above Landis, but still top 5, right? And I don't think that's anything negative to say at all.
Jake?
I think he had the most impressive shot of the weekend by all means. But no, it's hard not to go with somebody like a Gabe Clausen, like a Mark Richards, who proved that they could get over that hump and win. So I think he's very, very close. I think he's going to win something this year, but no, he's top 5, but not the most impressive.
All right. Our holy hot takes, Trey. You got a hot take for us?
Yeah, I got a hot take. Look, someone came into this event, hadn't seen them on the single side for a while, and it took someone throwing, let's say, an 11 PPR over 54 rounds to beat them. Devin Harbaugh makes the finals of the next Open he competes in. That'll be my hot take. I really like to see the momentum that he's built. I don't know what him and Jeremiah that dynamically had last year that I thought it would work, but it just didn't appear to work on the side for Devin Harbaugh. This year he can play a little bit more in his core space. I like him to bounce back.
All right, Jake.
I'm very similar on the lines with Trey. I think he had a very good, one of the best weekends in a long time this past weekend. I think he's very close. I think this next event in his home state, he's going to get over that hump. I think Gabe Clausen is going to win open singles in Richmond in a couple of weekends.
Okay, I'm also on a Gabe Clausen trend, but I'm going juniors. We talked about the fact that he's won 2 in a row. I think Gabe Clausen wins juniors singles anytime he competes in it. I think it's a sweep. If he's in it, he's winning it.
That's
all right, guys.
That's
all we got time for. Hey, you always say they're not hot.
Crazy.
There you go. There's a hot one for you. All right, thanks for joining us, everyone, and we'll see you next time.